The applause had barely faded when my daughter stepped onto the stage, took the microphone from the event host, and smiled at nearly 300 employees gathered for our company's annual celebration. "I'd like everyone to thank my mother for everything she's done," she said. I smiled proudly from the front row. Then her smile changed. "After 30 years of service, we've decided it's finally time for her to retire." The audience clapped politely, believing this had all been planned. It hadn't. My stomach dropped as two security guards quietly walked toward my table holding a cardboard box for my personal belongings. My daughter looked directly into my eyes and calmly said, "Mom, your access cards have already been deactivated." The room became painfully silent. I slowly stood up, thanked everyone for the applause, picked up the cardboard box, and walked toward the exit without saying a single angry word. As I reached the door, I turned back, smiled gently, and said, "I'll see everyone Monday morning." My daughter laughed softly. "You won't be allowed inside." I nodded politely. "We'll see." She had forgotten one very important detail. She owned 49% of the company. I still owned 51. My name is Margaret Lawson, and this is how my own daughter learned that ambition without respect can destroy everything. 30 years earlier, I started Lawson Technologies inside my garage with nothing more than an old computer and a bank loan that nearly terrified me. My husband died only 2 years after we opened the business, leaving me to raise my 8-year-old daughter, Claire, while trying to keep the company alive. I worked 18-hour days, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, and sacrificed nearly everything so Claire would never struggle the way I had. As the company grew, I slowly introduced Claire to the business. She was intelligent, confident, and charismatic. Employees admired her leadership, and I proudly promoted her until she eventually became Chief Executive Officer while I stepped back to serve as Chairwoman of the board. I believed the future was secure. Unfortunately, success changed her. New consultants convinced her the company needed modern leadership. They called me old-fashioned. They claimed investors wanted younger executives. Claire slowly began excluding me from important meetings. My suggestions became interruptions. My experience became outdated thinking. Still, I remained patient. I thought she simply needed time to learn. Then came the annual celebration where she publicly dismissed me without warning. What Claire didn't know was that our company bylaws required shareholder approval for removing any board member holding a controlling interest. No vote had ever taken place. Her lawyers never checked, they simply assumed she controlled the company because she controlled daily operations. Monday morning arrived. At exactly 8 a.m., I walked into headquarters using the master access card that only the majority shareholder possessed. The security guards who had escorted me out 2 days earlier immediately apologized. They had received new legal instructions overnight. Claire stormed out of the executive office the moment she saw me. "You can't be here," she snapped. I quietly placed a folder on the reception desk. Inside was an emergency board meeting notice signed by every independent director. During the weekend, they had reviewed what happened at the celebration. Most of them were furious, not because Claire wanted new leadership, but because she had publicly humiliated the woman who founded the company without following a single legal procedure. The boardroom filled within 30 minutes. Claire confidently presented slides explaining why I should be permanently removed. When she finished, our corporate attorney stood up. "Before we continue," he said, "there is one issue." He projected the shareholder register onto the large screen. There it was in black and white. Margaret Lawson, 51%. Claire Lawson, 49%. Under corporate law and our bylaws, he continued, Mrs. Lawson cannot be removed without her own approval. Claire's face lost all color. The consultants who had encouraged her slowly lowered their eyes. One director quietly asked, "Claire, did anyone advise you to verify ownership before announcing your mother's retirement?" Nobody answered. I finally stood. The room expected revenge. Instead, I thanked everyone for attending. I looked directly at Claire and calmly said, "The worst decision you made wasn't trying to replace me. It was forgetting who built the table you're sitting at." Tears filled her eyes, but I wasn't finished. I announced that every consultant responsible for violating governance policies was immediately terminated. Then I surprised everyone by refusing to remove Claire as CEO. Instead, I required her to complete a year of executive mentorship under the supervision of the full board. Leadership, I told her, isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about making sure nobody leaves the room feeling smaller because of you. 6 months later, Claire called another company meeting. This time there were no security guards. No cardboard boxes. She stood beside me, fighting back tears as she admitted she had allowed pride to become more important than gratitude. In front of every employee, she apologized, not because the board forced her to, but because she finally understood what respect really meant. Today, Lawson Technologies is stronger than ever. Claire remains CEO, but every major decision is made with humility instead of ego. Visitors often ask about the framed cardboard box hanging on the wall outside my office. I smile every time I see it. Underneath it is a small silver plaque that reads, "Never forget who carried the company before you learned how to lead it." People think this story is about ownership. It isn't. It's about remembering that success inherited without gratitude can disappear far faster than success built through sacrifice.